Right, so today's video is going to be talking about my opinions and sort of my review of my car and the whole VAG selection of cars and what to look out for and some general information about the cars and what to look out for and some sort of general information about these sort of hatchbacks, the general Volkswagen, Audi, Seat hatchbacks, what to look out for and just general information about them. Let's go! So my dad actually bought this Leon originally, and it's the TDI 170, which is the PD BKD engine code. He bought it completely standard, and a completely standard 170, it drives alright, it's got a decent amount of torque, and as a daily driver you get good economy, it drives well, but obviously some people it's not enough power, you know, that sort of thing. So what the common theme is to do with them is obviously get them remapped. That gains about 50 horsepower, it gains about 80 torque to 100, depending on how healthy the engine is. And after a remap, obviously it feels a bit nippier, but then obviously we went the extra way and sort of had a bigger turbo and did everything else. The benefit of tuning a diesel, unless you go over the top, is you get a lot more economy, it's a lot better drivability, so you have better MPG. So this goes to average 45 miles to the gallon, and depending on how you drive, it now averages probably 50 to 60. On a motorway, it'll average 60, 65 because it's modified. Where a petrol uses more fuel, a diesel, although it technically uses a bit more fuel, because it's got so much more torque and it can sit at such lower revs, you have so much better economy on long journeys, and they're working at such a less rev range to do the same amount of power because they're so much more highly tuned. So I think, just general advice, if you get a diesel and you want better economy, go to your local sort of tuning company or someone that can get it remapped and have that extra bit of power, which will give you that extra bit of economy and drivability, and it'll make the car so much smoother and more nice to drive, as well as having that extra bit of performance. So the main differences between a 140 Volkswagen Golf and a 170 Volkswagen Golf, Seat Leon, you know, they're all the same, are that the 140 comes with a metal manifold and the 170 comes with a plastic manifold. And from factory, obviously the 140 will come slightly detuned, and because of this, the 140 engine's a lot more reliable. So if you're looking for a more reliable car, the 140 is a better engine to have, unless you know the engine or unless you're willing to put in the effort to make the 170 more reliable. From standard, the 140 engine is a more reliable engine to go for, and slightly better on fuel just because it's lower power, so it's under even less stress. But yet again, if you remap the 140, it'll be slightly better on fuel anyway. What I noticed from my tuned diesel is that initially, when driving it, you'd have the sort of torque range from about 2,000 revs to sort of 3,000, then it falls off. Since obviously I've had a hybrid turbo, remap, all the extra things that I've had done to my car, it means that from about 1,700 revs, I'm getting almost immediate torque, which is pulling all the way to about 3,500 to 4,000 without any fall off. Because it's got all that extra power, it just keeps going and going and going, and there is just no fall off until I hit the limiter, which has actually been de-restricted on mine. So normally the limiter I think is 4,500, but mine's been de-restricted to 5,000, so I get an extra 500 revs. And I just find that with a tuned diesel, it just drives so much smoother and it pulls so much stronger, and it's such a nicer car to drive than a standard car. Although the standard cars obviously will probably last a bit longer because everything's under less stress, I still recommend tuning a diesel just because you get that drivability and economy. So my car has been to the Nürburgring, I believe, 2 times, which is a total of about a 2,000 mile round trip altogether. I think it's 1,000 miles, 500 miles there, 500 miles back roughly, and a lap around the ring. And it has never let me down. The only thing that's ever let me down on this car is the auxiliary belt. Or actually it was an auxiliary bearing that was just loose, so it put the timing out and overcharged my battery and killed my battery. But that is, it's an issue. All cars have bearings, everything goes wrong. That's just, wear and tear of a car. These cars are generally, this car has been absolutely faultless for the 90,000 miles it's done within mine and my dad's possession. It was on 115 when my dad got it, and now it's on 183, and I still drive it like it's on, 50. It drives lovely. It's such a strong engine that it shows that even highly tuned cars, as long as they're done properly, serviced regularly, sorry, I saw a rabbit, serviced regularly, they will be reliable. You can make a car reliable, or even an unreliable car. This isn't an unreliable car, but any car serviced regularly and well maintained will last, well, a lifetime at this rate. So with any diesel, obviously where a petrol, no matter what, you put an exhaust on a petrol, it sounds amazing immediately. A diesel, If it's completely standard, it'll be completely silent, because I had a 140 Golf, which was tuned, remapped, put a straight through Miltech, decatted it, and it was completely silent. It was so depressing, it was unbelievable. However, with my tuned diesel, with my Leon, because it's got the hybrid turbo and all the extra power, it sounds so aggressive, it's amazing. But generally, they just sound really hollow. They just have that sort of echo, that turbo echo, when the turbo's spooling just out the exhaust, which is quite a cool sound, but it's not that sort of aggressive noise you normally get from a petrol car, or that loud noise you get from a petrol car. Mine sounds overly aggressive, which you've probably seen in sound clips, but normally they just sound a bit hollow, or you just get that lovely sort of boo noise when you change gear and the turbo wastegate's just going, or the turbo's just letting all the gases out, and it just sounds amazing. But other than that, diesels don't have loud exhaust, or they don't sound very good. They just sort of have that hollow, which is quite a nice noise. I mean, it's not I don't like it, but if you buy an exhaust on a standard standard Golf, standard Seat, any Golf, any diesel, if you put an exhaust on a standard car, it'll be completely silent. It won't be any different. If you put it on a remapped or tuned car or something's different, you'll probably get a hollow / turbo spool noise. Right, so coming to the brakes of this car, obviously they're all the same. The Volkswagen Audi groups, they all have the same brakes. The only differences are, I believe the standard Golf, or standard Volkswagen Audi group car, comes with two 8.8mm brakes. You can get performance upgraded brakes, so this came with the performance pack, which means it comes standard with 312mm discs and slightly bigger carriers for the pistons and to hold the discs, obviously. And they work really well. Like these brakes with some expensive discs and pads, they're ridiculously strong. I've just bought the upgraded Cupra brakes / R32 brakes, which are 346 or 352, 356. They're massive, basically. They're massive pistons, they're massive brakes, massive calipers, massive discs. So that's a nice upgrade. So if you have standard Golf brakes, the 288, the 312 is a good upgrade. And if you have the 312, the Cupra / R32 brakes are a very good upgrade, because they are massive. The only thing I will say is these brakes will fit in any wheel, but I think the Golf R32 brakes have to be in at least 17s, if not 18s, just to fit within the wheel, depending on your offset as well. Or your ET, it will depend on if they fit or not. So generally, I think that's about it. I've talked about the reliability of the engine, the sound of the exhaust, and the size of the brakes, which are the main sort of things you're interested in, or you would be interested in. I mean, they're the same things I'm interested in. As standard, also, the gearbox throw is quite long, so a lot of people fit short shifters. I have, and it makes it feel so much sportier and nicer. It just makes it feel like a hot hatch when you're like smashing through the gears. It's so much nicer to just go back, back, back. If you have any other questions or you want any more information, feel free to comment below. I'm happy to answer any questions, or direct message me on Instagram at JSMK_YT, and I'll respond to you there. Oh, there's bird shit in my car. But yeah, generally, these cars are really reliable cars, as long as you know them or you know who's had them. Buying them with sort of high mileage and not knowing the service history would be a bit risky. I mean, this is a very high, this is 183,000 miles, and it drives like it's on like 100,000. It's so strong, and it's such a lovely car to drive, and it's so reliable. I think anyone who knew the car would buy it in a heartbeat, but I could understand why if someone who didn't know the car came to see it, saw how modified it was, and then saw how high mileage it is, would be like, oh, it's going to die any second, and probably wouldn't touch it. But I know how well this has been maintained and how well it's been looked after, and I just know it's just going to keep going and going and going. So I guess making sure you buy a good one, or trying to make sure you buy a good one, is definitely advisable. But that doesn't necessarily just mean go for a low mileage one, it'll be good, because that's definitely not always the case. Most of the time, a high mileage car shows that it's been reliable and it's been looked after. If there's any other questions, feel free to comment them below, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. What I'll do is I'll roll it down. You tell me if I'm going to hit the splitter, because I don't want to hit it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep, you good?
Is it good?
You good?
Don't want to rip my splitter off.
You good? You good? Stop.
Okay, good. Right. Is it good?
It's good.
Okay. Oh, I've caught some leafage there. Some grassage. And I want to lower this car. God, it's going to really scrape. What I'll do is I'll back it up. That is how you cool shot.
Why, thank you, sir, for picking me up. Oh,
You're welcome, you can come in, there you go.
thank you.
Sorry, I forgot about the pool. Oh, look at the wrap as well, it looks lovely. Lovely bit of wrap going on. It just looks smart. I like it. Almost stalled it. Wow, that would have been awkward. Wow. Oh. What a lovely day.
Beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful.
Crops, 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 croppity, crops, 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 crops. Jake.
Hello.